There was a guy who was a duck hunter, and he always wanted a dog that could walk on water. And he was always saying, you know, if I could have a dog that could walk on water, life would be wonderful. And he would tell his friends, and his friends would go, man, you're nuts. There's no such thing as a dog that can walk on water. He says, yeah, but if I could get a dog that could walk on water. So he goes out and he starts looking at litters of puppies. All these litters of puppies. And he goes to a litter and he tests all the dogs, and none of them show up. None of them can walk on water. Well, one time he's out with a group of Labrador Retriever puppies. He's playing with the puppies, and there's a dog across the little puppy across the yard. And he calls the dog over. And the dog comes and he walks right over the top of the pool. He goes, oh my God, I found the dog that can walk on water. This is wonderful. So he decides he's going to call up all his friends and tell them. And then he said, wait a minute, they're going to think I'm nuts, and nobody will ever go out hunting with me when you don't usually go out hunting with somebody who's nuts. I'm going to train this dog. And then I'm going to take my most negative friend out, who's a cop, my most negative friend out, and he'll tell everybody else. So he trains the dog, he works with the dog on duck hunting, works with the dog on getting the ducks after they're shot down. And he decides to call up Dave or Mark, one of these guys. And he said, yeah, this is my most negative friend. I want to go out with him. We're going to go duck hunting. So he loads up the truck with all the dogs, with the guns and everything. And they're going down the road. They get out. They go into the duck blind. And he's really happy because he knows his dog's going to show up. He's sitting down. He goes, dish, dish. A couple ducks go up. 2 ducks go down. The dog walks on water, gets one duck, comes back. Walks on top of the water, gets the other duck, comes back. He sits there and he's looking at his friend, and his friend goes, he's thinking, wow, that's weird. A couple more ducks go up, they each shoot. 2 ducks go down. Dog walks on water, gets one duck, comes back. Walks on water, gets the other duck, comes back. He looks over at his friend, and his friend's going, oh, jeez. He's thinking, this is weird. No, 2 more ducks go up. They both shoot. 2 ducks go down. The dog walks on water, comes back. The dog walks on water, gets the other, comes back, puts the ducks down. He looks over at his friend. His friend's going, no. Well, this happens about 10 times. So finally he says, you know, let's just pack it up and get out of here. So they pack up the guns. They put the ducks in the back. They put the dog in. He's driving down the road. And he looks over and he says, you know what, Mark? Not for nothing. But then you notice something about my dog? Mark looks back at him and says, yeah, the damn thing can't swim, can he? That's basically what we're dealing with when we deal with our cops. Cops have a tendency to live in what we call shit city. They just have this negative attitude, and because they keep working at it, and you know where they keep working at it? With other cops. They keep working about their negativity. They keep working at it, keep working at it. They get more and more negative because you practice something, you get better at it. And they practice over and over. And they complain about the superior officers. They complain. And they get very, very good at it. Well, one of the techniques I like to use, I'm going to start by asking a group of psychologists. What's the opposite of love? Hate, okay. What's the opposite of pleasure?
Pain.
Pain. What's the opposite of happy? Sad. We all agree on that? God, you're so wrong. You all are very, very wrong. Christina,
Yes.
you're sitting here. You decide at lunchtime you're going to go out and buy a lottery ticket with Rachel. Okay? About 3 months from now, you break your leg. Compound fracture. Would you say you're in pain?
Yes.
Rachel comes over to you and says, Christina, Christina, I've been looking for you all over. We won a $120 million lottery. You still in pain?
No.
You had to think about it. No? Your leg's broken. You're still in pain.
3 months later?
No, no. 3 months later, you break your leg.
Oh.
She comes over to you while you're... Oh, God. You're not in pain. You're still in pain, but you're also in pleasure. Opposites can't exist together. Right? What? No, they can. Opposites can't exist together. Can they? Why? Because the opposite of pleasure is what? No pleasure. The opposite of an emotion is no emotion. The opposite of pain is, the opposite of happy is no feeling. The opposite of sad is no feeling. I call this the myth of emotional opposites. It's very important for us to recognize, I mean, what's the opposite of love? Indifference. What's the opposite of hate? Indifference. Why is this important? Why is this important? Because when you're working with somebody, and I can tell you, this is one of those epiphany moments. When you tell them about the myth of emotional opposites, they sit there and they say, wait a minute, that really makes sense. But why can I have pleasure and pain at the same time? Why can I be happy and sad at the same time? Because you can be happy and sad about different things. You know, if we were to divide our life into our social life, into our sex life, into our economic life, you can be happy in one area and sad in the other area. You can be happy because your social life is good and happy because and sad because your social life is bad. The thing to understand is to help people partition their emotions. Partition it into areas where they can feel pleasure and pain together. And I'll give you an example from a case study. I'm working with a woman right now whose husband was killed in the line of duty. About 4 months later, her daughter falls off the back of a deck and breaks her back. About 6 months after that, in December, her son, who's an electrician, opens up a thing in the hospital, opens up the ceiling in the hospital, and there was a collection of anesthesia there, and he caught the anesthesia and fell off a ladder. Okay, this is a person not having a lot of good luck at this moment. But you know, and they constantly, you've heard this expression, she can still smell the roses if you tell her about the myth of emotional opposites. Hey, these things are troubles. These things are problems. And you can focus on them as problems. But you can see you're still having some good times. You're still doing some things that are fun. And she'll admit that. She'll sit there and say, well, you know, I'm getting very close to my relatives. Well, that's good. You know, people I haven't talked to are calling me. Well, that's good. That's good. If she were to believe the myth of emotional opposites, basically what would happen to her is she wouldn't allow any pleasure because she's in pain. She wouldn't allow any pleasure, and that's what happens a lot to people in life. She wouldn't allow any pleasure because of their pain. You see, happiness is the ability to be unfulfilled, undesired, unloved, unappreciated, underutilized, treated unjustly, and not be unhappy because you realize life is full of temporary states. Most of the things that get people down the most are temporary states. So in the myth of emotional opposites, you're recognizing the dog that can walk on water.